The fourth round of the Kumho Tyre New South Wales Sports Stands Championship is proudly brought to you by Aussie Play, Education National, Ingram Brothers Racing and these valued partners. Here at Sydney Motorsport Park for the fourth round of the Kumho Tyre New South Wales Sports Stands Championship, it's important to get the run through turn one to be able to make those passes down into turn two as we take a look at the circuit, Gary.
Yeah, 3.9 kilometres or thereabouts out of turn two, across the top of the tunnel, down to turn 4, 5, then refigured turn 6, across to 7, then a big braking area, tight hairpin turn at turn 8, and then we start to run up towards the top part of the track. It takes us up to 9, 10 and 11 before that big long run down the main straight.
It's a great run for sports stands. You can get plenty of power down. We'll see some of them overtaking down into turn one on this 3.93 kilometre circuit. A great venue. The second time here in 4 rounds for the 2023 season. And there'll be 2 more rounds here later on in the year as well. Starting on pole, Gary, it is Brad Shiels, and he put in a mega lap in qualifying.
He certainly did. A 1:28.7531 in qualifying. And that's mega quick, and he takes the lead straight away with Ingram in behind him, then Lacey, then the other Ingram brother in 4th position.
As we take on board here with Ben Mannix, he's going around the outside of the 47 Stephen Moylan GT3 Cup car, and you can just see how close it all gets between them as they make that break and try to make the apex into turn 2. The rest of the field swing in behind as well. You'll notice in this race there's a few production sports cars. They've joined the category for this race meeting.
Yeah, and just not enough cars really, so only 4 of them there, so they've lobbed them in together, and as performance-wise they are fairly comparable.
They are, and they're going to be right in amongst it as well throughout this whole thing here as we come through turns 4 and 5. Nick Mantikos on board with him. He's looking over the rear of Monahan, trying to get past him, and it looks like down the inside Greg Boyle's going to make a position up as well. The GTR making moves. He's a little bit further down the field, and just look at the way he launches out of turn 6 to get up the hill.
Yeah, 4-wheel drive makes all the difference in that skyline, doesn't it? And we watch Mantikos in the Mark II V8, and then we duck over to Ben Mannix in the V8 powered RX7, trying to put a move on John Ford in that Mercedes C63 bodied sports sedan, basically a TA2 style of car, although not quite the same dimensions, but built by Howe Engineering.
I was going to say they've made a few modifications to that car to be able to make it eligible for sports stands, and what a fantastic weapon to see out there as well. Of course, John was in a Nissan body LS powered car previously, and now he moves up to more of an outright style car as we go on board again with Nick Mantikos, and you can just see the run down the straight. He's going to get to the inside.
Oh,
what a move.
Yeah, look like Moylan had a bit of a brake issue going into turn 1,
yes.
and we got one off. That's Boyle off on the outside, so no doubt Moylan just got out of the gas going into turn 1, seen what was happening ahead of him, and Boyle goes through, obviously regathering his thoughts after that incident.
Taken on board here with Nick Mantikos to look at what's happened. Monahan got very, very sideways as well, so maybe there's some oil down through turn 1, Gary, or some sort of lack of adhesion on the track, I guess you could say, for these guys to struggle through there, and then Mantikos sees the opportunity, seizes the position.
Yeah, I gather that there must have been some sort of fluid drop, and we could see in the distance there, Boyle comes back on the track.
And Brad Shiels in the lane, so he hasn't made it very far into the race. And then we've got spinning off Dylan DeSasbo in the D-Bit Lamborghini Huracan. So Brad Shiels retires, Boyle goes off, the Hurricane's in the gravel trap. It's all kicked off here in race 1.
Yeah, and we've got more dramas here. We've got the bonnet come up on that second skyline in the field. And we've got the car we have too. We've got Sean Quicken.
Jeez. Down halfway down the straight, that is not where you want that car to lose its bonnet and lose vision subsequently. So he's done a good job to get it back to the lane. We see here Furcher and Ford, they make contact around the back section of the circuit. We see a replay from on board with Mannix, and it's just wheel to wheel. I'd say that potentially there, those two haven't seen each other. We get it under safety car and back to green flag racing, and now Peter Ingram in the lead in the RX7. What a great position for those guys to be in.
Yeah, the triple rotor RX7 ahead of Lacey with Matt Ingram in the triple rotor RX8 in 3rd position. Ford up the 4th spot at the moment with Mannix right in behind him.
Yeah, Lacey in amongst a Rotary sandwich at the moment. He'll be doing all he can to try to get past them in the Real Dairy Australia Lederer Group car. We take on board with Ben Mannix in the BPM Motorsport vehicle. He's really starting to find a lot of pace in this car now. We've seen him, like many others over the years, they progress their way through the field as they start getting more and more used to the car, and of course developing in our sports sedans. It's always about putting something new in, building it up, making sure you get up towards the front.
Yeah, both Chev-powered cars, but very, very different in their build.
Yep.
One a chassis-based car, but was once a production car, whereas the one ahead of it there is purpose-built for racing. It's an engineered car, you might say.
Yep.
And in behind them, I think we did see Richard Gardner in Lamborghini Gallardo.
As we take on board with Steve Lacey, he's not going to be able to catch Peter Ingram down onto the main straight. You can just see the power down there, and see you later. Peter Ingram takes off. Thanks to Aussie Play, Education National and Ingram Brothers Racing for their support of round 4 of the championship here at Sydney Motorsport Park. As we see, there's the results, Gary. Ingram, Lacey, Ingram, Ford and Mannix rounding out the top 5. Down in the pits, we caught up with Brad Shiels to talk about his qualifying effort, but also the race 1 result.
Brad Shiels, interesting start to the day. Got pole position, but you've had a few issues in race 1. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, like I said, pole position in qualifying, which was good. Did our personal best time, minute 28, so really happy with that. But yeah, first lap of the first race, broke a drive shaft, so yeah, really disappointing. So anyway, we'll have it fixed for the next one and start from the back and see how far we can get through.
Was the car feeling all right in qualifying? Everything felt decent beforehand?
Yeah, felt really good as usual. So yeah, really happy with it. So yeah, it's a shame that happened, but yeah, like I said, we'll be back out.
Obviously with Joe on the tools, he'll be able to get that back together quickly. I guess you're pretty lucky to have someone like that working on the car.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, he's on top of it all. He'll get it fixed up. He's nearly got it half fixed now. So yeah, we'll be right. We'll see. We'll get back out there.
So hopefully for the rest of the day, next race, you'll be coming from the back and give us a good highlight reel of that.
Yeah, that's it. I've been good at that lately. I've been starting from the back more than I'd like, but yeah, we'll be right. We'll get through, and got 2 more races to go, so hopefully that's all the bad luck out of the way.
Second race just gets underway, and already Peter Ingram going to the pits. We've seen Brad Shiels go in earlier, and there he is at the back of the field coming through. Half shaft breakage in that car, and already he's starting to wheel his way through this field. Moves past Willem Furcher as they go through turn 1, and then we look back at Brad Shiels in that car, and you can see just trying to thread the needle, so to speak, as he finds his way past these other cars.
How's the pace from that thing built by Joe said? It's a credit to him with how many years and how much investment he's put into this car, and then he plugs Brad in to be able to make sure it's showcased to the best of its ability, and Brad's wasting no time coming through. He's up behind Barguana, who's actually having a great weekend in that 77 Nissan as well, the PB Racing Repairs car. We've seen a few different drivers through that car this season and over the years, and Barguana really pulling it right up towards the front.
Yeah, it's going really well, and Josh Haynes drove it at the previous meeting. Here's Brad Shiels now making a move on the Lamborghini, who's just ahead of him, and just goes past. Oh, no, he didn't. Richard Gardner wasn't going to let him through so easy. You're going to have to find a better way around on that one, he says.
I think he might not have seen him there as well as Possibly. He turned in, but these low-slung cars a bit hard to get the vision out of. He won't waste any time now. Back to the other inside down the main straight. I think he gave a slight glance across there in the standard highway fashion of what were you doing, and now he's down the inside of Ben Mannix in the BPM Motorsport car. So Brad Shiels wasting absolutely no time getting through the field, and once they start spreading out, he'll be able to make the moves, get the power down, and start chasing after Steve Lacey, who have of course opened up a pretty sizable lead in the early stage of this race, considering that he does not have the Ingram brothers around him. He's had a pretty, I guess, clear effort.
Indeed, and then we see Shiels go down the inside of Ford at turn 4. So he's got past those 3 that renew their acquaintances from the earlier race. And again, it seems as though Ford and Mannix were going to be glued together through most of this one. They seem to be very comparable on pace.
They are, and Mannix just sitting there holding position. You can see Furcher coming up in behind as well. He'll be looking to make a move shortly. Of course, this round of the Kumho Tyre New South Wales Sports Sedans Championship proudly brought to you by Aussie Play, Education National and Ingram Brothers Racing. We thank them for their support as Furcher makes a late dive to the inside and gets past Mannix.
Yeah, he'll zero in now on the back of Ford. forward. Now, remember, they had a bit of a coming together in the last race coming out of turn 7. So will it be a chance to get past him and say, well, I am faster and you shouldn't have been there to push me off like you did?
It's like a review right now, isn't it? Mannix is in behind them as well, so we'll keep an eye out. But I think Furcher is going to be able to get the pass as they come down the back straight to the final complex. You can just see there Ford in the rear view shot, and it's very close as he comes across the nose and takes the line away. But that brings Furcher up into 3rd place in the race. So I'll tell you what, if Brad Shiels wasn't in this race, you'd be saying how impressive the drive is from Furcher through the field.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, unfortunately, Shiels makes it look fairly pale in comparison.
That's it.
But there goes Ford through turn 1. Car going very well. He's had a pretty good run with it. His first round for a while for that car. Mantikos in the marked car there on the back of the Lamborghini of Gardner as they go through turn 2.
Gardner just trying to hold him back here. So Mantikos is going to be looking for everywhere he can. You can see on the right the Motec telling us how the steering and throttle inputs are. A little bit of overlay from the Mantikos car. It just helps to be able to showcase in some ways just how quick these cars are going, because of course so many of them, they're so fast, you don't get that difference of speed feeling that you probably would when you're going at 200 kilometres an hour.
Well, Lacey may have had things his own way up the front, but not now, because he's got Brad Shiels right on the back of him, and Brad Shiels is going to go through and take the lead away as they go down through turn 1. Certainly got some space. Oh, ran a little bit wide on the exit, and Lacey has taken the opportunity to get down the inside. Now they go side by side through turn 2, and then up through the double apex there, and out that corner. Now we should see, no, he doesn't. So another touch. So there might be what's going on? That's the second hit I've had in this race.
Lacey just blocking the line there. He's going to hold on for dear life. He sees the opportunity for championship points. Of course, everybody was speaking about going into this one that Brad Shiels is getting very close to wrapping up the championship with the strong form he's had through rounds 1 to 3. Everybody needed him to have a bit of a tough one. It started here. Steve Lacey has his opportunity, and he's just trying to do everything he can to stay in front, but I don't think it'll be for long.
Yeah, well, there we can see Fiat Camburis making a move on Boyle. Now, Boyle's issue in the first race, it lost the fluid out of the front diff, so he's now having to race like the rest of the field with just rear-wheel drive.
And a bit of added weight in the front.
Yes, and although he did have that bit of an issue of going off the track, and it did cause a little bit of grievance for a couple of others in that moment.
It looks like Monahan's starting to have a bit of a smoke from the rear as well, and that may well be a different issue in the Monaro, and he's going to have to do all he can to be able to hold them back at the moment. But I'll tell you what, he'll probably just try to make it to the end of the race, you'd have to think, and see what he can do. But now Camburis to the inside of Boylan makes the move into 6. It's been good to see Theo Camburis getting faster and faster as well with every outing.
Yeah, he certainly has, and we started off as Division 3 car and doing what he can, and this battle still continues. Now Shield has another go at getting past Lacey. He's got the straight line speed for sure.
Yeah, here we go into turn 1, second verse, same as the first. He'll try down here, and now he needs to pull it up, and you can see he backed off a lot earlier there just to sit next to Steve in through 1 and make sure that he got the line on the Real Dairy Lederer Group Camaro. So now Steve Lacey sitting in behind. He'll probably just try to stay with Brad Shiels here to the finish, put as much pressure on as he can, try to force a mistake, but these guys at the front, they don't really make mistakes when they're one's leading and following. It's when they're getting door to door that those sort of things start to happen.
Indeed. And now we see the Sousa making a move on Mantikos down into turn 1. So the Hurricane is making a bit of a comeback after its earlier spear off at turn 1, and you can see he's right on the back of the other Lamborghini, two different model Lamborghinis. We've got the Gallardo in front and the Hurricane in behind.
Shows you just the slight differences they made across the models, doesn't it? It's a really good representation there as they're now line and stern. And Ben Mannix smoking as well, so I'm not sure if there's well, obviously there is a drama with that car because it's smoking, but not sure what the drama is with that car as he pulled to the inside there, and he's slowed down rapidly, so it's something with the Ford momentum affecting him at the moment.
Yeah, it's impeding its progress, I might say. This is turning into a fairly good dice between these three. Two Lamborghinis and a marked car. Now we often see those three cars racing at somewhere like the Bathurst 12 hour. two of them in the open class and one of them in the invitation. And now we can see DeZarbo go through on Gardner and take up the leading position amongst the sports or production sports cars.
Mantikos looking for the opportunity as well.
Might as well have a go while we can.
He didn't quite get there though. He has to sit in behind Gardner. So you'd have to think for Mantikos that would be a bit frustrating. You've just watched somebody else overtake you and the car you're trying to fight. Now he's driving off a little bit into the sunset and you're still stuck there looking for your opportunity to get past.
It's an interesting car, the Mark II. It can run in sports sedans or production sports with just minimal changes to the car. So he has been doing a bit of both. And here we got Shiels in front and seemingly in control. No. The drama coming down the straight, and we can see Lacey has gone past. So, wow, this is not to be expected. Now, again, it picks up pace. So there's an intermittent issue with that car by the look of it. And Steve Lacey now takes the lead. He's had a fairly wretched run in this year's championship after winning it last year. And he'll look forward to try and get some points back on Brad Shiels. And whether Brad Shiels can actually make it to the finish is up for debate at the moment.
It's not looking good as the car rolls up the hill out of 6. I don't know that it's going to be able to make it over the crest there. It's sounding like it's carrying on as well as he comes to a stop, and he's going to do the old Control-Alt-Delete, it looks like, to try to get it running. He's half a lap from the finish line. The gap that these guys have got back to Willem Vercher, if he can get the car going, he may well still be able to finish second, and he does. Lights up the rears and gets going, so Brad's keen to get back into it, but this man out in front, Steve Lacey, he's going to take race 2 victory in the round 4 of the Kumho Tyre New South Wales Sports Stands. Proudly brought to you by Aussie Play, Education National and Ingram Brothers Racing this weekend. Quite a comfortable victory in the end, Gary.
It certainly was, and the reason we didn't see either of the Ingram brothers, the 2 separate issues, a fluid leak out of one of them and a scrutineering issue with the other.
Jude Baragona, in a bit of a different car than what we normally see you in. How's this compared to what you're used to?
Yeah, look, it's really cool to come and drive Tony's car here this weekend, and give it a good run, and drive it to its maximum potential. Obviously, it's on a Kumho tyre, so I'm running the Kumho V8 Touring Car Series. So we run on a similar tyre. This one's a little bit different, but it's all good practice, and it's got big horsepower, big V8, so it's a really cool thing to drive.
How'd you get yourself into driving this car this weekend?
We're family friends with Tony Barton and all the boys here, so Tony gave me the opportunity to come and give the car a run, and big thanks to him. And it's cool to drive a different car and have a go in a few different things.
Is this a particularly tricky car to drive around a track like Sydney, or do you find it sort of easier to drive than what you're used to?
Yeah, look, obviously the supercar's probably got a little bit more grip in the tyre and a little bit more aero, so this car definitely moves around a little bit more, and then having the H-pattern gearbox is a little bit different to the sequential, so it's nothing that I'm not used to, but it's got its differences. It's still a really cool car to drive around here, and when you get it right, it feels great, like anything.
And a great start for that first race, coming from 9th through to 5th. You think you've been able to capitalise on a few mistakes, or what do you think about that start?
Yeah, look, obviously the sports sedan category, there's lots of different cars and different types of cars with different amount of horsepower and different amount of aero. So it's quite tricky to know exactly where you're at. But, for this car, we pushed this car to the limit this weekend so far, and it's gone the fastest it's ever gone by about 2 seconds. So, it was really cool to tap the car out, and we'll keep trying to go faster over the weekend, but we'll just keep playing it as it comes, and we'll have a go in the last race tonight when it then starts to darken down.
Do you think you're going to have another go in sports sedans after this, or is this something that you're just sort of giving a go now?
Yeah, look, I'd love to. Anything in the seat's really good for my career, and to get the seat time is obviously really hard, as a lot of people know. So jumping in anything at the moment is really good for me. So I'd love to if someone gave me another opportunity, for sure.
Well, good luck for the rest of the day. Is there anyone you want to thank?
Oh, look, just big thanks to the boys here, Tony Barton, for letting me have a drive of the car, and it's good.
Well, here we go for the third and final race. The sun has set, the lights are on, and away they go. And Shiels immediately goes to the front. Fuel sensor issue in the last one, we believe the problem was. He leads from Lacey. Ford goes to third spot. And we can see the 2 Ingram cars will have to come through from the rear. And already Peter Ingram's made up several spots.
is charging around the outside, back to the inside in the RX7. You can just see there's Matthew Ingram in the RX8, the Education National car. He's made up 2 positions. He's just taking it a little bit easier, I think, than Peter, as he now moves to the inside on Rod Monahan and works his way through. Greg Boyle, as we've detailed as well, without the front diff, he's just a little bit slower than he normally would be out of the corners, so it's probably affecting him in some way to see the gaps that he could be launching himself into that he just knows he can't go for now.
Where you have to change your driving style as well.
Exactly, that's it. As we see Nick Mantikos now trying to chase Jude Barguana. It looks like he's got in front of the Lamborghini at this stage that we saw him having the battle with. He's in front of Gartner as Ingram goes to the inside of the GT3 Cup car of Stephen Moylan. The Effect Building Projects car sitting in behind there. Of course, one of our Prod Sports competitors joining the Kumho Tyre New South Wales Sports Stands for this weekend. Back on board with Ingram, and he just powers away from that Lamborghini Huracan.
Yeah, that's the RX8. That's the slower of the 2 cars as well. Here's the quicker one, and your flames flying out the side of that RX7, and he's making some really good ground at the moment. Don't
these things look impressive under lights as well? I tell you what, if you want to enjoy sports stands racing, it's worth coming out and seeing them under lights at Sydney Motorsport Park. Of course, you get to see all of those things we all enjoy: flames, brake rotors glowing, and the noise as well. Incredible noise from all of these cars as Ingram to the inside makes light work of Barguana between 5 and 6. Now it looks like, I think that's Furcher that's in front of him as he comes around Corporate Hill, and he'll try to chase him down. There's a bit of a spin further behind, so Graham Smith in the Waste Pro car, and he's dropped back a position.
Yeah, another of the RX7s, although it's Chev powered as well. Speaking of which, no Mannix for this race. That was a rear diff in that car that got overheated, I believe, and unfortunately he's had to pack up for the rest of the evening.
How's Matthew Ingram in the RX8? Pulls to the inside, overtakes 3 cars down the main straight, and 3 cars that are not slow in a straight line either. So it just shows you the power that these rotary-powered Mazdas have, and the development they've done with their partner as well, Impact Performance, who's put in a lot of effort to those cars alongside the Ingram Brothers Racing stable. And they're going to be a force to be reckoned with, focusing on the New South Wales Championship this year. But you'd have to wonder if a national tilt is on the cards and what they can showcase at some of the best circuits in Australia if they went around to them.
There's Smith and Moylan renewing some of their earlier battles from years gone by. They both had Commodores in Division 3 several years ago, and now they've stepped up. They've gone full sports sedans, you might say. And Graham Smith and Rod Moynihan certainly getting value for money, although I think Moynihan's got an issue there. It just seems to be slowed up quite
he hasn't.
Maybe they're both slowed up, but it just appeared as though it was a bit slow there out of turn 6.
I think Smith ran wide out of the hairpin, so he got pulled back again.
Maybe he was looking in the rear vision mirror and thought, oh, I've got this, and then, whoops, there's the corner there.
Got a bit of a gap. Of course, the Moynihan car is the ex-Furcher car from a couple of seasons back, so he's picked that one up and strapped his own motor into it and going racing again, as we see Ingram now closing in on Ford, who's had a bit of a lonely race in this one since the opening stages. Without Ben Maddox there's been nobody tailing him around the circuit until now, and you'd have to say that Ingram's probably going to make light work of him on the main straight. I don't think that gap is enough that he'll be able to outrun the RX8 down into turn 1. No, he doesn't make the finish line even.
That was good perception.
Yes.
It was pretty obvious that he's going to go past, and certainly has. But Ford, got to give him credit, it's had a good clean run this weekend. No dramas, the cars just keep ticking over and getting good points.
And it looks absolutely fantastic under lights as well, doesn't it? That yellowy gold really comes up well with the lighting situation here at Sydney Motorsport Park. Of course, we've got to thank Aussie Play, Education National and Ingram Brothers Racing for their support of the 4th round of the Kumho Tyre New South Wales Sports Sedans Championship. And speaking of Ingram, there he is to the inside. Blast past Steve Lacey.
Wow.
Easily passed before turn 1. We know Steve Lacey's Camaro is no slouch in a straight line.
Yeah, I'm liking this RX7 to a stealth bomber.
Yeah.
It's all black. You don't see it, especially at night. You don't see it until it's right on top of you. And then it just goes flying past.
And the amount of flames it's spitting out
and
every
Lacey's
corner as well.
had a moment down to turn 2, Bob, look at that.
It's not the correct direction to be facing. No. So see what happens here with the replay. And he's
just too much rear. And I think it's just had a compression lock and turned him around.
I think he's got enough gap that he shouldn't lose a position, so he should be able to get back in behind Peter Ingram. He won't close it back down to him now. Obviously pushing really hard around the back section of the circuit to try to stay with that RX7. As we go further back in the field, you see Mentikos on the back of Furcher here. So Mentikos was somebody new to battle after a couple of races, fighting with that Lamborghini of Richard Gartner.
Yeah, it's not as though they don't know each other. They've had battles in the past, not just at this meeting at this point, but Mentikos has just got quicker as the meeting has gone on.
Yeah.
From fairly slow in the first race, he's sort of found the pace that we expected from him by this one.
He's right up there now, keeping Furcher on this too. We saw him move through the field in race 2. Probably hasn't gone as far forward through the field in race 3 after a few dramas again with that car, but sitting in front of Mentikos now and should be able to bring home a top 10 result comfortably in the small sedans as he defends down into turn 2 yet again. Mentikos obviously feels a lot stronger through 1 and 2, but just can't quite stay there through the rest of the circuit.
You can see the glowing front discs on the RX7 as it goes up around turn 10, 11, comes out onto the straight. And here's our race winner. Brad Shiels has done it all the way. Peter Ingram has closed in over the last couple of laps, so that car's got pace. If it gets off the line, well, it'll be great. Lacey third, Matt Ingram fourth, John Ford and Will Furcher the next two across the line, with Mentikos just behind the Toyota.
A great fourth round there from the Kumho Tyre New South Wales Sports Sedans Championship. Down in the pits, we caught up with Steve Lacey, our round winner, to get his thoughts.
Steve Lacey, round winner for this weekend. How did the car go?
The car went fantastic this weekend. Huge thanks to Steve Vigers and Steve's Toy Shop for putting the car together, and our sponsors, Real Dairy Australia and Lederer Group. They've really helped out to get us here this weekend, which is great.
You had a great battle with Brad in the second race today. Obviously a lot of defending. Is it hard to keep him off your back?
Look, Brad's a hard steerer, very hard. But, yeah, look, he got past us, we got back and held him in for another couple of laps, and then he got back. But Brad and I have actually been racing for a long time together. So, yeah, we know each other, just giving each other a bit of room. It's all good.
How was the car out there, especially going into the night with the cooler track? Did you feel much of a difference?
Yeah, look, I thought that the track would have been a bit quicker than it was, but that said, obviously we're all just getting used to the idea of racing around in the dark, so your braking markers, everything just moves around a little bit, and we had a moment out there at turn 6 and turned the car around during the race, so it's just the way it is.
With the wind halfway through today, did you feel much of a difference with the car getting blown around by that with any of the crosswinds?
Yeah, so the car basically got blown a bit down towards turn 2. During that second race, and you can see it in the data as well. The car picks up a couple of miles an hour when it goes down there, but yeah, it's not too bad down the main straight.
Great performance this weekend. Hopefully next few rounds we get to see something just as good.
Yeah, look, I think so. Obviously, congratulations to Brad in the trophy car race and to Peter. Obviously, we got on top of these cars, and they're very quick compared to our Chev, but we'll keep plugging away at it.
Anyone you want to thank for the weekend or for the day?
Yeah, look, obviously, yeah, the crew, as always, have worked bloody hard. So that's Steve and Michelle and Maddie. My wife was here earlier. It's always good to have the small crew, but everyone knows what they've got to do, so it was good.
Well, we hope you've enjoyed all the action from the fourth round of the Kumho Tyre New South Wales Sports Sedans Championship, proudly brought to you by Aussie Play, Education National and Ingram Brothers Racing. We thank them for their support. Make sure to check out the website and Facebook page for more information on the season ahead and on how you can get racing with sports sedans. Until then, we hope you've enjoyed the action here on Blendline TV.